Hello everybody, so we're about to launch our brand new one-day special. We are talking AALL Create and the immensely talented Tracy Evans. I remember the first time I worked with Tracy Evans, and the whole team here at Hochanda were all bowled away, but her passion, that's real key here. And I think Abs is so good at bringing designers into the AALL Create fold, and he senses not only talent, but a real passion for what they're trying to bring you. So these aren't designs, everything is so incredibly personal to Tracy. And Tracy is saying that she will not bring you anything unless she can personally think of 10 ways she would use her designs. Can I just draw your attention to the price? $27.97, and you are getting our brand new one-day special. I think, look, especially times like this, that is a really good price point. So it's not going to break the bank. Take advantage and look at, you can instantly get a sense that this is AALL Create. And it's Tracy's own particular twist, her own personality coming through the stamps. So let me just turn these around so we can see exactly what we are getting. A beautiful collection of stamps. So you're getting all 3 of these at our special price. And the beauty is, throughout the one-day special, duration of the one-day special, Tracy is going to be showing you technique after technique after technique, how to get the most from it. We can see some beautiful examples around actually. Oh, that is stunning. Look at that. Wow. Just saying, that might be, it is one of Tracy's own designs, so that might be maybe a demonstration we could potentially be seeing, or something similar this hour. Let me just turn these back around. We are already busy for a one-day special, actually. Even just before, the minute we went live, the phone lines lit up. So 10% of the stock's already gone. We're literally 1 minute, 56 seconds into the show. I think we're going to be speaking to Tracy. Tracy, hello.
Hello, Yanis. How are you?
Tracy, I'm very well. It's a pleasure to speak to you. Now, I start off the show by saying how passionate you are about all your designs, and where I think what makes you such a good designer is you design from a point that's something that means something to you. You won't just come up with a design and rattle it out to meet a time frame. You literally, if you're going to bring something, you have to be 100% happy with it.
No, you know me very well, Yanis. To be honest, I'm not going to bring designs out for the sake of bringing designs out. If I'm not happy with them, then I just won't bring any out, and that's it, really. But I really love these 3 stamps. I'm really passionate about them.
They're great. And now I think so many of our viewers are starting to build up a catalogue of your work, and all your designs, I'm right in saying, they play so nicely together. So if we have got any of your previous stamps, you could see them working with this collection.
That's the whole point, to be honest. Yeah. The flower stamps work together.
Brilliant. Well, you can see it. Tracy, tell me about your inspiration. Tell me about what made you want you to bring these designs here today.
Well, first of all, I mean, I'm always inspired by my garden, but the reason I brought them out is Abs wanted border stamps, and I knew that these flowers, the minute I drew them, I knew that the border format would work beautifully. And also the fact that you've got an image that's a little bit larger, so it means that you can use them in them mixed media cards. They're not just for card format. They can be used for mixed media or journal pages, so they can be used for everything. But for me, the fritillaria particularly, because I've got those in the garden at the moment, to have it in stamp format is just fab. I love it.
Oh, and I can see you're absolutely right when you're saying that this collection, it screams for not only just your card making, but your mixed media, your scrapbooking, your tags, your MDF in the mix as well. It is an extremely versatile range. What's your philosophy? I did say that you won't bring anything unless you feel you can make at least 10 things out of it.
To be honest, if I'm not inspired by my designs, Yanis, then I can't see the point of bringing them to market. I have to be able to make. So what I want is that when you start making with them, it means that you want to keep making. So when I start with the stamps, I know that once I start making, I can always make more than 10.
Yeah.
If I can't, then I can't see how the customer can make as many. So I have to be inspired by them, or else there's just no point. And I must say a huge thank you to the design team, because they've really brought them to life.
Well, I'm going through the designs here, Tracy, and I totally agree. The design team are exceptional. I mean, you can see how much fun they've had, and that, as a presenter, whenever you do a show, you really get a sense when a design team, their imagination has been captivated by a collection. But you're always busy.
You can tell when they've enjoyed the design, can't you? You can tell.
Now, Tracy, last time you brought us a one-day special, we sold out.
Yes, it was fantastic.
Second time you brought us a one-day special, we sold out.
I've got fabulous supporters, Abs.
Well, you should have fabulous supporters. I can tell you right now, we're 5 minutes into the show and already 20% of the stock's gone here.
Wow. I have to say thank you very much. I have to say thank you.
Well, Tracy, I'm going to say thank you to you because you're a lovely person. I've got to work with you. I really mean this. And you've got so much integrity. Whenever we work, and I know you'll see this, please stick around because Tracy, we're going to be thrown to one of her videos and she's going to be demonstrating. You will see the passion Tracy has in sharing her demonstrations. And we're so lucky. And I think this is what makes Hochanda such a special place. Actually, I was chatting to Catherine. I said the exact same thing to Catherine as well. We've got such passionate crafters and it shows. And that's what we want because as crafters, we want somebody who you can see is not just making designs for the sake of it. It's because they really believe in it. Tracy, always enjoy chatting to you. Before we do let you go, how are you coping in lockdown? Are you safe and well?
Oh, yes, I'm very well. I'm keeping very busy, Yanis. But I just want to say thank you for doing the show for me, Yanis.
Oh, pleasure.
And at least you haven't got to calm my nerves this time.
Oh, well, Tracy, you know I'm a big fan of yours, so I'm gonna be sitting back. I'm going to turn into a viewer now. I'm going to be sitting back and watching your demonstration. Tracy, always a pleasure. Stay safe, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you throughout the course of the one-day special. So over the next few hours, maybe tomorrow as well.
Thanks very much, Yanis.
All right, you take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Bye. Tracy is lovely. And it's funny because I remember the first time Tracy was here, and every time Tracy comes in, she's always got, and she won't hide the fact, she says she always has a little bit of nerves, but she has got nothing to be nervous about because she is just so talented. A quarter of the stock has gone for our one-day special. It really should be busy. We've still got queues on our phone lines, so the fast way to order is on our website or using the Hochanda Go app. And if you haven't tried that yet, it's the only thing I use at the moment, and it is the fastest way to shop. So if you've got a smartphone or a tablet, download the app. You've got all the features you'd have on the website. You can watch all previous shows and everything else. It's just super quick. Okay, so I think we're going to be throwing to Tracy's first inspiration. You're going to enjoy this. Relax and enjoy.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for joining me. I hope you're all staying safe in these difficult circumstances. I'm sorry I can't be at the studios. I do miss being there and missing everybody's company. But I hope you are enjoying the one-day special. I hope you love the designs as much as I did creating them and designing them. For those that don't know me, my name is Tracy Evans. I'm part of the AALL Create product design team, and today we've got 3 stamps in the one-day special. Just clearing my desk so you can actually see. We've got 3 stamps in the one-day special. We've got the Fritillaria, which has some wonderful background elements. I love background elements. I just think that these background pieces, you can use them on their own or with the stamp as a whole. And I love fritillarias in the garden at spring. Most of my stamps are inspired by the garden, and fritillarias in spring are fantastic, so I'm absolutely thrilled to have one as a stamp design. And my second stamp, another border stamp, is the passion flower. My lovely friend Jo asked if I'd design a passion flower, and as you all know, I like to do my stamps in a doodly kind of fashion, and this is a passion flower with a quirky touch, and I'm really pleased with the way that came out. And you could use that stamp, just part of it, not necessarily, you don't have to use the whole thing. And when I'm designing stamps, I always think it's important to have a background element. So we've got a lovely background stamp here, overlapping texture, and it's got wonderful textures in there. Text, background elements. I just love the background designs because they just add so much to the other stamps, and you can use them on their own or combine them with all the stamps. So those are the 3 stamps that we've got in the one-day special. And today I'm going to create a card for you. This is the card that I'm going to create. If I bring that up a little bit closer, and you can tell my camera work is not quite as good as the Hochanda camera people. Not quite up to scratch, but there we go. We're doing the best we can under the circumstances. So, and as you can tell, I'm waffling as usual like I do on my Facebook Lives. I always say I'm not going to waffle, but I can't help myself. So we've got a card here that I've created with alcohol inks. I just wanted to use the alcohol inks in a little bit of a different way. I have done this on a Facebook Live, but I just thought that the Hochanda audience might want to see it, especially those ladies and gentlemen that perhaps don't know my style. So that's what we're going to create for our first sample. So we have our card, and we've got a piece of card 4 inches in width by 9 inches in length. And what I'm going to begin with is I'm going to stamp my image with a Versamark ink pad. And you still, even though you're using a Versamark ink pad, you still need to make sure that you give that stamp a really good inking. I've added my stamp to an AALL Create acrylic block. So you just need to make sure that, as with any inking, you apply a good layer, a good even layer of ink. This way you get a good stamped image, especially if you've got a quality stamp and a good acrylic block. So I've given that a good inking, and what we're going to do is place that down on our card. And as I always say, and I often repeat myself, allow that ink to rest on the card. Allow it to sink in to the cardstock. And I've got these lovely AALL Create acrylic blocks which allow me, because they've got flexibility, they allow me to lift that acrylic block, which allows me to get this central area here, which is the area that we often miss. And sometimes if you're a newbie to stamping, you can get a little bit frustrated if you miss that central area every time. Well, with these acrylic blocks, that alleviates that problem. And what we've got here, which you won't see on camera because it's in a clear sticky ink, which is just perfect for a demo. You can rely on me to demo in white, on white card, just to make it as hard as possible to see on camera. But trust me, it's there. Now, if like me, you're on camera and you've got sweaty little hands, then what you can do is you can apply an anti-static bag over the surface, over your substrate, which means just the surface that you're working on. You can apply the anti-static bag to prevent that embossing powder going in any areas that it shouldn't. So we need to give that embossing powder a heat. So heat your heat tool, and as you can see, I've already got grubby hands before we even start. So make sure your heat tool is nice and hot, and then heat your flower. Now you need to make sure that once that embossing powder starts to go, which you might not see on camera, which I'm sure you won't because we haven't got those wonderful camera people at Hochanda, you won't see that on camera, but it is melting. What you need to make sure is that once that embossing powder starts to melt, that you move your heat tool down the card. You don't keep it on the same area. If you keep it on the same area, you'll over melt that embossing powder and it'll become flat again. It'll no longer be raised. So I'm just moving my card around just to make sure that I get all that embossing. And because it's so bright in here, I can hardly see where I'm embossing, to be honest. So I'm just going to take a look at that. I don't know whether you'll see that on camera, but there is a glossy tint to that. You might not be able to see it. Well, you probably can't see it. Let's tell the truth, you probably can't see it. But I knew I'd go and demo something that was difficult to photograph, but there you go. So bring in a piece of white card, and what we're using is alcohol inks, and I'm using Limeade, Purple Twilight and Aquamarine. Now, alcohol inks are often used on glossy surfaces, like Yupo paper. Yupo paper, glossy surfaces. I'm actually using it on a white card. You can also use it on watercolour card as well, but I'm using it on a white card to give a totally different look. So I'm applying these purple inks, the purple ink as well, just pouring it all over my hand like you do. Just tilt the card slightly, and then I'm going to go over the white embossing. And can you see that white embossing resists the alcohol ink? But because we're using a card that's absorbent, we need to add more alcohol ink. And if you're using alcohol inks, please ensure that you work in a ventilated area. So open your windows. Just make sure that you're well ventilated. I mean, I'm not using much alcohol ink anyway, but it is advisable that you work in a ventilated area. Just turn that round so I can see where I'm working, like so. So bring that back into shot. We'll just put the lids on our alcohol inks just to make sure, like so. Do you like I'm taking you through every step, including when I put the lids on my containers? Can't help myself. So what we're going to do then is we're going to take the ink blending solution. And because this area is embossed, this alcohol ink blending solution will remove the colour from the embossed areas. And I'm hoping that my camera picks that up nicely. It picks up the colour from the embossed areas, add a little bit more of the blending solution, and it removes the colour from the embossed areas, which I absolutely love. And it gives an alternative look to alcohol inks. They haven't got that glossy, quite garish look. It looks completely different. And if I bring that up to camera, hopefully you can see that it's a totally different look to that. I just love that. Really love the totally different look. And what I also like about this technique, not only does it show the stamp off beautifully, shows all that fantastic detail, but now, because I haven't got a glossy surface, I can now add colour back in. So I can add colour to these areas, and this is my favourite bit, adding the colour back in to the stamped areas, which I just love. I love this bit. It's just wonderful how you can add the colour back in. And if I bring in some of that purple just to the petal areas, I will lift this up so you can see, just to try and show you the detail. But adding the colour back in, it's like your eyes drawn right into the card. It really draws you in. I'll lift this card up in just a few moments, just so you can see how that colour really does work. Just colour these few leaves in. If I was not on camera, I would be taking a little bit more time to colour these images in. But that's not what you want to see. You want to see the techniques. I hope you're like me. Look, I've been crafting for about 2 minutes and look at the state of my hands already. Can't help myself. What do they say? It's a true crafter if you've got messy hands. So I'm just turning my card because it just makes it easier for me to colour. Now, I'm not a professional colourist. There are a lot of people out there that colour professionally. I'm just doing this to add a bit of colour to my design. And I'm using polychromo pencils. But can you see how that just adds another element to the design? It's almost like glass, like you're looking through it. It's a lovely effect, lovely effect. So what we can do now is we can use our stencil. As you can see, mine is well loved. So it's not in its packaging, but it's well loved. So we're going to use the stencil, which is also in the show. And I'm going to move some of my product out of the way so we can actually do something. And we're going to use white paint. We'll just move this along a bit so you can see me apply the white paint to the stencil. So I'm going to apply the white paint. Any white paint, any white acrylic is absolutely fine. And I'm using my brayer, and I brayer out the paint evenly, and then I apply to my stencil. I do it that way just so I don't get big blobs of paint. I'm going to spritz that with water, bring in my card, and then just place the stencil down onto the card and bring in my grubby piece of kitchen roll, because we can't waste our kitchen roll. If you wanted, you can, once you've added loads of colour to your kitchen roll, you could machine stitch that to one of your journals. So just allow that ink to sit and you get a beautiful background element there. We'll just add a little touch here. So we're going to repeat that process. And I love how this stencil hasn't got, you know, straight edges. So it means that I get more of a random design, which is what I like. I don't like it if we get those straight edges. It's not a problem because you can just wipe those straight edges if you've got a stencil with straight edges, stencil mask, whichever you call them. So what I'm going to do is add some more of that white paint to this area of my card. Again, allowing that paint to absorb into the card. And it works beautifully because my alcohol inks are now flat, they're not glossy. So I like to add things in threes. I'm just one of those people that likes to add 3s or 5s, odd numbers. I think it's just more appealing to the eye. And you know, I've decided I can waffle for England, even when I'm talking to myself in my craft room. so you get the luxury of listening to me. So now I'm just thinking where to add this. I'm probably going to add this here, just a little touch here. Move that up so we're in camera. And just allow that to rest, that's it. So I'm just going to move my brayer out the way, and I'm just going to clean up this little bit of paint, just so that we don't get in too much of a mess.
That's an incredible demonstration. Thank you so much. That's featuring our one-day special. Also, Tracy was using a stencil just at the end, and we have got that bubble stencil. We have got that on the show as well. Got to tell you, we are extremely busy for our one-day special. A third of the stock has gone. And the thing with stock, it's all relative, because obviously on how much we had to begin with. Traditionally, with the one-day special, we genuinely always strive to have enough stock to last the full 24 hours. And with regard to this one-day special, I was just chatting to my producer, Kim, we really did have an awful lot of starting stock. So we're both surprised to be calling a third of the stock, which has already gone now for this one-day special. But when you look at the designs, you look at what you're getting, you see the price, you realise that Tracy and AALL Create really deserve to be busy for this one-day special. Beautiful, beautiful designs. And the thing with Tracy, she wants to bring you stamps and design work that lend themselves towards technique. So it doesn't matter what type of crafter you are. If you want something that's clean, elegant, fantastic. If you want to go a bit more gritty, grungy, fantastic as well. So just going to show you here some examples. We're just hearing word, and it's something that we've had trouble in the last hour with our call centre as well. Unfortunately, the technical issues might have returned briefly. So if you do want to place an order for the one-day special, please do it via our website or the Hochanda app. Let me just show you some examples of how you can, I mean, look at that. Isn't that stunning? Or how about something like this? It's upside down. Or maybe you wanted to create something like that. Oh, now that's beautiful. Really nice size to this. So if you just want a trellis of design work, it gives you that scope. If you wanted to make it the main feature, you've got that variety, that versatility. You can see that Tracy is passionate about her flowers, and she's injected that passion into the design work. Okay, so this is the one-day special. We're busy for our one-day special. This is the launch show, and we're calling 1/3. So you don't need to be a mass whiz to realize that there is a really high probability that the one-day special could be selling out before the end of final call tomorrow. So do not miss out. £27.97 is your price. You're saving £5. Brand new designs from Tracy Evans. 489055 your item number. Something else that's proving extremely popular. Now, you might remember these, because this was actually Tracy's previous one-day special that she brought to you. Seeing here. Now, £37.97, you are getting everything that we're seeing. This one stamp here, this is an A4 stamp set. Look at that. Now, apologies, it's looking a little bit funny on your screen, only because it's just slightly off center to the actual acetate design that we've got there. But very, very nice. Popping that through. And because it's AALL Create, the stamps are extremely good quality as well. So that, rest assured. Now, Leonie brought you, I remember it, actually, I was doing this one-day special. Leonie brought you this beautiful one-day, because not to confuse anyone, this is not a one-day special right now. It was a previous one-day special. But when Leonie did bring it to you, she was absolutely enthralled. So you got that beautiful, large, dramatic flower and all the other elements coming through. So showing you what you could be making. Now, you can get everything that we're showing you now, you can get the elements individually. So if you do want to go for the elements individually, not a problem. Or you can go for the bundles and take advantage of the savings. Ooh, how much? We're approaching 20% of the stock, and there is a cheeky Freedom price on there as well, £34.17. And the beauty of being a Freedom member is that if you are a Freedom member, you don't have to worry about your P&P. Can I take this opportunity as well to just welcome back all our American viewers? And when I say welcome back all our American viewers, because of everything that's been going on in the world and COVID-19, there were no flights going to the States that we could ship products across. So we had to temporarily just cease shipping to the States, but now that has resumed, so we're very happy, and I apologize, but obviously nothing we could do about it. But if you are watching in the States, because wherever you're watching, America, Europe, the UK, you're all part of the Hochanda family, so it's great to have you back. Okay, now as we progress down, we've got our patched earth. You're getting the stencil and this stamp. So, the crack up stamp, there's our crack up stamp. So if you want to add instant crackle, done. And you're getting this phenomenal stencil in the mix as well. So you're getting the stencil, you're getting the stamp for £9.98. £9.98, that is ridiculous. Let me just pick this up for a moment. We are going to get some card. Let me just show you here. So have a little look. So there's your stencil. Oh, now that's your cracked up, sorry, that's your parched earth, and then we got the cracked up stamp in the mix as well. I cannot believe that price. Thank you, Ben. Cheers, buddy. Okay, so £9.98. I'm getting busy for this. 347373, your item number. As we move on, we've got another stencil. Oh, this is the stencil that Tracy was using, the bulb we saw in the previous demonstration, and we're also getting stamps in here as well. Let me just show you this. Over 30% of the stock has gone for this bundle. And do you know what I like is the fact that you have got some elements that are masked off as well. This is fantastic for your mixed media. If you have got a jelly plate, fantastic. So for your gel press in there, and then we've got our stamp here. Oh, really, really busy for this option. So you're not just getting the stencil, you're also getting the stamp in the mix as well. We're actually going to continue with Tracy's demonstration where she was using this, and of course our one-day special. So I think you're all looking forward to it. Here we go, part 2.
And what we'll do is we'll just give a little waft. Now you can't hit it too much because you've got this embossing. I'm just drying this a little bit. You can't heat because you've already got that embossing on there, so you can't heat too much. Now what I want to do is add a spotlight in a different way. I want to add a spotlight with pieces of card. So I've got these thin strips of card here, and I want to add a spotlight in a different way. So what I'm going to do is I'm using these pieces of card to highlight that central flower, like so. So I'm just going to fold it over rather than tear it. Just going to fold that over. Take another a strip of card, so just some thin strips of card, maybe those pieces of card that you thought of chucking in the bin. Well, now you can create a spotlight. So I'm just going to, you see, and I can move this if I want. If I want to move it along a bit, that allows me to do that because I've not stapled that into place. So we've now got, see, when you're live on camera, you end up faffing more. That's better. So I've now got those. So that's my spotlight. So I'm creating like a little frame, and I'm going to create these framed pieces across here. And this is a different way. Often you will see me add spotlights in circles, but today I thought let's do something a little bit different. So just take that off and staple these into place. So just move that so that we can staple into place. Grab my stapler and staple that in there. And all this is doing is framing that central image, like so. And I can still move these so that they're nice and straight, and then add. So it adds like a quirky frame element to your design, which I quite like. It sort of gives it a quirky touch. Sorry about moving the card at a different angle. It's just easier for me to staple that way. So just add another staple there. So this gives us our spotlight, and that white from the spotlight and the white from the stenciling and the white from the embossing all makes it a cohesive design. It all draws the eye in, and this draws the eye into that focal central piece there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a little piece of chicken wire. Can you see here, I've just got this chicken wire from the garden, which I've just flirted all the way across my craft room. That's what happens when you get a professional demo, when you see. So we just cut a little bit of this chicken wire, like so. And you see, if we're honest with the viewers, I did have this chicken wire all prepped, but I had to record the video for a second time because my phone decided to just stop, and I carried on waffling with the phone stopping. So I just thought I'd let you into a few of my little secrets here of what goes on in the professional household of Tracy Evans. She has to record the video half a dozen times. That's what happens. So then what we've got, we're chucking everything on the floor at the same time. Then what we need is we need a scrap of white card, and we're going to stamp our sentiment. So if we look at that stamp set again, that stamp set has got some sentiments on here. It's got hugs and kisses, and it's got best wishes today, tomorrow and always. I love that sentiment. And that's the sentiment we're going to use. So again, I'm going to use my VersaFine Clair to stamp my sentiment. And as with anything that I stamp, I still allow that ink to sit on the card. Whether it's on a wet surface, dry surface, I still allow it to sit just for a few moments so that that ink absorbs into the card. And that is a beautiful sentiment. So what we need to do is, because this is an ink with a good open time, we need to make sure that we blot that ink. Just give it a blot. If you don't want to blot, just give it a dry with your heat tool, just so that you don't smudge that sentiment. And I'm going to cut that sentiment out. Now, if I wasn't on camera, I would use a guillotine just to cut the sentiment straight, just because that looks more professional. But we're live on camera, so let's go with the flow. Just cut that a little bit more, like so. And it often helps if your hands aren't shaking when you're doing a live video. That's usually good as well. So we're going to split that up. Just think this is a lovely sentiment. Like so. And again, we're keeping this white, mainly because those pops really lift the design. We just adhere those to our background, like so. And again, maybe if you put the right sentiment in the right place, best wishes is the piece that we need to adhere here. Best wishes today, and then this piece. Just apply that today, tomorrow and always. Move our adhesive out the way, like so. And I do love how those white sentiments pop. Now, if you put something, give it some dimension, like to our flower. So we give that flower some dimension. I've cut the flower out. You don't want to watch me cut out. So I've cut that flower. Make it off centre so that you can see some of the white underneath. And if you place that on a black backdrop, can't get my words out, on a black backdrop, it makes it pop. Now if we bring in the original card, this is the original card, can you see that with those depth of colours, it draws the eye in? And I've added 2 metal embellishments. That metal embellishments echoes the metal of the chicken wire. It all works together to create a cohesive design. So the purple that you echoed here is echoed in the background, but you would never guess that those were inks. And the only thing that this is missing, this card, is a few famous Tracy splatters. So we have to add a few of those splatters to the background, and then add it to your black mat. And when you add it to your black mat, it pops, like so. I'm really pleased with how that's turned out. So I hope you enjoyed our first demo, and I'll be back shortly. Bye for now.
That looks amazing. I was just going to say, we have it here actually. Let me just show you. So here is the finished inspiration that Tracy was just demonstrating so expertly. Look at that. And this is something, do you know what I would be doing? If you have, and so many of you have, gone for the one-day special. Once it arrives, go onto our website or use the Hochanda app, Just type in the date and time and you'll be able to revisit this show and copy that exact technique, that demonstration. Brilliant, Tracy, absolutely brilliant. I've got to tell you, this is the launch show. One day special, meant to last the full 24 hours, but we always add the extra caveat, all while stocks last. 40% of the stock has gone. Tracy's had 2 previous one-day specials. They've both sold out. I don't want to jinx it, Tracy. I don't want to put you under any pressure, but it looks like this one-day special is going to go the same way. Look, what you are getting is all 3 of these fabulous stamps, and the detail that Tracy affords you in her design work, the layer upon layer of detail, the versatility, the way that we can incorporate the design work. We can just lift up the flower if we want, but you've got that added detail, that subtlety in the text work as well. So that's just one of the stamps. And let's have a look at the other one. So what I like about these is you can use them as a border, you can use them as a main feature, you can create backgrounds with them as well. Tracy's particular passion, she loves flowers, she gets inspiration from her garden. She's saying she likes to be in her garden. So, and you can see that. You can see how she incorporates beautiful floral aspects into her work. And I know, I have been very fortunate to work with Tracy on a number of occasions, and I know how just one stamp, just this one stamp here would really excite Tracy, because it's the possibilities, it's adding that subtle detail into the mix as well. So you are getting all 3 of these stamps for $27.97. And then you get to have some fun. What I would say is follow AALL Create on social media as well, because there's loads of inspirations and a lot of people posting their works there. 489055, your item number. Okay, we've got to move on to our next bundle. Now, the next bundle, I did show it to you just before the previous demonstration. You might look at this and it might be a bit familiar to you. That's because it was a previous one-day special. We brought it back at a great price, $37.97. Look what happens if you're a Freedom member. If you're a Freedom member, the price comes down to $34.17, and that is your delivered price. This is an A4 stamp set. So I'm just going to, now this is something, if I turn it around, actually, bear with me, let me just leave that there. Tell you what I'm going to do is take the acetate off, only because the stamp's been put back and it's not. There we go. Ooh, it's a good opportunity though to show you the actual quality of the stamps. So these are the stamps you're getting. So what AALL Create have done, and this has been used, so Leonie's actually used this stamp set last time she's in. So this is one of the stamp sets. So you can see that is an A4 stamp set, but they're super thick. You can feel it here. So you're going to get great detail, really good quality with your stamps. Let me pop those down and just show you. That is the acetate. So this is what you're going to get. That's the size of your stamps, and that's what you're going to get. So you can see that is a big stamp. So this is literally just the design with the acetate. Now Tracy gives a top tip. I've worked with Tracy before, and what she likes to do, and actually I think a lot of the designers from AALL Create like to do this, is take the acetate and use that just as a little, if you want to audition, say, an aspect, if you want to put that on and just think, well, I wonder how that would look. So rather than stamping it out, use your acetate, put it over a certain part of your design and see if it works. So it's just a little top tip. Okay, I'm just going to pop that down here. So you're getting the large A4, you're also getting both of these stamps in the mix as well. All of that for 2 flexi payments of £17.09. Shall I show you some finished examples? Let's have a little look. Ooh. Oh, now this is nice. Look at this. Beautiful. Or would you like to make something like that? Or maybe you want to make something like that. Oh, the team are like, yes, we like this. So look, lots you can do with it. I'm going to pop this down because we do have to move on. I can tell you, a third of the stock has gone here as well. Really, really busy. 811-505, your item number. Right, now, parched earth and your crack up. So you're getting not only the stencil, you're also getting the stamp in the mix as well. Let me just show you here. This is the stencil. Oh, we like that. Yeah. Now, come on. That is a seriously good stencil. Love that. So instant effect. Spritz with it, add your texture paste through, emboss with it. I mean, play around with that. So you're getting that. You're also getting in the mix the stamp as well. Let me whip that around and show you. So instant crackle. Instant crackle there. $9.98 your price. You're getting the stencil, you're getting the stamp, you're getting the possibilities. 347373 your item number. Digital bubbles and bubble block. We are over half the stock. It was the stencil that Tracy was using in her previous demonstration. Let me show you. Have a look at this. Yeah. I mean, that is such a great stencil, and I do like the fact that you've got certain details that are effectively working as a mask in the mix as well. So multiple layers of interest. Not only are you getting the fabulous stencil, you're also getting the stamp in there as well. Just showing you are getting that stamp, and then we just turn that around, and this is what you could be making. So it's all about adding that detail. Oh, I love that. Behind our one, so this is using the one day special here, and then just building up layers of detail with your one day special. Again, using the one day special and just pulling off a little bit of interest. Or how about this, slightly different technique. That's nice. I'll show you one more and then we've got to move on. Oh yes, we like that. $9.98, so under £10, you will be getting both of those. 623281. Your item number. Now, rings of changes and knobbly bubbles. Bobbles. Baubles. Bubbles. No, it is bubbles. It's not baubles. It's bubbles. Knobbly, rings of change and knobbly baubles. So getting both of those, let me just show you. You are getting the stencil. Yeah. Wow, I like those. Do you know what? It's effectively 6 dinky stencils in one, and I think that would be a fabulous size if you have the artist trading coins. And then we've got the stamp in the mix as well, just showing you that there. Love that. $9.98 is your price. 586145 your item number. And we got some pom-poms for you. Let's have a look at this. Oh yes. Like that, to bring up the details. This is your, you got your dahlia and your pom-pom flowers. Let's just have a little look. This would work very nicely with the one day special. So you're getting your stencil and you're also getting your stamp, which I'll turn that around and just showing you using as an example. Like it. $9.98 your price, saving £3, 680011 your item number. Have one more stamp bundle for you. Let's just have a look here. Yeah, this is cool. $37.97. You have been shopping ahead for this, and this is just another prime example of how well all of Tracy's work. So this was Tracy's first one day special. I think I'm right in saying that. £34.17 is your freedom price. But do you see how we've got all 3 of Tracy's one day specials on one show, and you can really get a sense of how well everything would work and play together. 847137 your item number, £34.17 is your price. We're going to get back to the demonstration. This is where Tracy's real passion is sharing her inspiration with you. So without further ado, here's Tracy.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Hope you're enjoying the one day special. So for my second demo, I'm going to use the passion flower once again, but this time I want to show how you can just use part of the image and that you don't have to use them on cards. You can use them in journals, mixed media projects, and I'm going to show this time around how you can use it in a mixed media project. So if I bring in the project, this is the project that we're going to be creating, especially if I don't waffle too much. And the idea is that this is the focal image, and that's just part of the flower, and that does all the singing for us. That's where your eye is drawn into. So that's what we're going to create today. So we'll start with my substrate. My substrate is a piece of MDF, as you can see, and I've covered the pages. I've covered the substrate in vintage pages. and I've covered that using Distress Collage Medium, and I'm just drying that because I actually added the pages just before we went live for the video, so I'm just adding that now just to make sure that it's totally dry. You can use matte medium, whichever your preferred adhesive is, but I've just used the collage medium. Just give that a good dry, and it's saved a little bit of time because we haven't adhered those pages during the live video. So you can then just turn that over and just give it a trim around the corners like so. Just trim that. What the best way to do it is to get a wonderful edge is to actually sand the edges of your substrate, but believe it or not, I've got no sandpaper, so we're just making do. Just shove them on the floor. Everything just goes on the floor, which is just great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to bring in a wrap of white card, and we're going to bring in our stamp. And if you wanted to use the stamp and you just wanted to use part of the stamp and you wanted to be precise, what you could do is you could add low tack tape here to your stamp, ink your stamp, remove the low tack tape, and you'd have a perfect just one part of the image. But luckily I just need to cut mine out, so that's not a problem. But you'd be pleased to know, in Blue Peter fashion, I've already cut out my image, so you don't have to watch me cutting out. So just giving the stamp a good inking, as I always do, even just using part of the stamp. Just wipe up that bit of black ink there. So I'm actually got my stamp on the AALL Create acrylic block, and I'm just going to stamp that. I could have stamped it here. Why I've stamped it in the middle of the card, I think it's just so that I know then you can see the image clearly enough by stamping in the middle of the card. But obviously you would stamp down here so you're not wasting that card. So sometimes we do things differently when we're doing live videos, just to make sure that you get, you know, we're not wasting too much time doing things that you don't need to. But look how perfect that image is. Just fantastic. A perfect image. And I'm going to cut this area out. So we'll just chuck that on the floor. And as you can see, if I just put this on white paper so you can see it better, I've actually cut out those images. And I've actually coloured them with Distress Oxide Vintage Photo. I've applied my Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink to a non-stick craft sheet, spritzed with water, and just mopped that colour up with the flowers. Actually, they're actually still wet, but that gives me my vintage tones. We'll just move that out the way. So then what we're going to do is bring our substrate in, and we're going to look at our stencil that we've got on the show as well. I haven't got much room on my desk. I've literally taken up the whole area. I've only got a small desk area. So we're actually using the stencil that's actually on the show. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a print with the stencil. Excuse me. We're going to apply Vintage Photo Distress Oxide ink to the stencil. Just applying that around the stencil. And then we can spritz that lightly with water. Because if you don't know, the Distress Oxides are reactive to water. So we can just place that stencil. And I love the stencil mask, whichever you call them, but it's got no straight edges. So therefore, it's wonderful. I don't have to worry about wiping the edges of the stencil. Allow that ink to sit, to absorb in to the card. And as you can see, it gives a lovely print. So I'm going to do that again. I could do a second generation print, but I still want that darkness of that vintage element. So we're just going to add another layer. Spritz that with water. And what I'm thinking is, this is where my focal image is going. So I want a touch of stenciling here. It's just thinking about that focal image, where the focal image is going and where you want your stenciling. When I'm not live on a video, I often spend a lot of time deciding where my focal image will go. And I often put this in place and I'll take photographs just so that I can refer back to those photographs and decide what I think is the best composition. So what I'm doing now is I'm using the second generation printing. So I've just spritzed again with water. As you can see, my desk is not the tidiest. So just dab that. And we should get a second generation, and that's still a good print. You could get third and fourth generation prints with those stencils. Absolutely, no problem at all. So we'll just give that a dry with our heat tool. I'm trying to do as much as possible where we don't need to dry the surface. But some things just need drying, unfortunately. There's nothing we can do. So I'm just giving that a dry. And I love how the vintage pages are still visible below the stenciling. I really like that. Just give that a good dry. And you can, if necessary, just dab. What I want to do now is just add a touch of gesso to the surface. Sorry, reaching my arm over to my palette knife. One advantage of being at home while you're doing the demonstrations is that you can reach for things. If inspiration takes you somewhere else, you can just reach for something, which is what I'm doing now. So I'm using a piece, my palette knife, and I'm using gesso. And I'm going to apply that gesso across my substrate very lightly. You might not see it on camera, but I will lift that up. It adds a nice chalky feel to my substrate. And I just think it's important just to think about these little touches to your substrate. Don't be in a rush to finish your project. For me, it's part of the process, taking your time and enjoying the process. So I'm just adding some of this gesso very lightly, maybe around the edges as well, around the edges of my substrate. And just remember that if you add this gesso to this area here where you've stenciled, it will reactivate that ink. That's what it does, because those inks are reactive to moisture. Just used a little bit too much gesso there. So we just give that a dry now. And it just adds a chalky element to our substrate. And we just need to dry that. So that shouldn't take too long to dry because it's just gesso and it's often quick to dry. Now, if I was doing this at home and not live on a video, obviously it's pre-recorded for you, I would cover the back as well. So cover the back of your substrate with your vintage papers as well. That's what I would do.
Love that. Thank you so much, Tracy. Now, if you want to see part 2 of that fantastic demonstration, we have got it for you, but you're going to have to join us at 8 o'clock to see how it turns out. Oh, it's like, do you know what? It's like watching your favorite soap. It's a real bum, bum, bum. Okay, so we have got lots more hours featuring our one-day special, but I can't tell you how much longer the one-day special is going to be with you, because after 1 hour, we're over 40% of the stock. And I want to put that into context because that's stock that's meant to be around until 6 o'clock tomorrow. So it's meant to last the full 24 hours. It's proved really popular, but Tracy designs always are. You will never regret investing in AALL Create and Tracy's design work, because she is so immensely passionate about everything that she offers, and she is incredibly talented as well. You see it in the design. So that's, I mean, the stamps speak for themselves. The finished example, so this was a previous demonstration, so if you were watching at the beginning of the hour, if you missed it, you can obviously catch up on our website or using the Hochanda Go app. Isn't that stunning? Or would you like to make something like this? Or maybe, I think this is very clever. Isn't that nice? Just a little, it's like a little cheese board, bread board. It looked like a paddle, the team looked like a paddle, but it's like a bread board. Here we go. Or how about this? It's upside down. Or how about that? I mean, all examples. Or maybe, how about this? Isn't that nice? Or how about that? Lovely. $27.97 is your price. busy for our one day special. And I am so happy for Tracy because I know how much it means to her. Please follow AALL Create on social media, so Facebook, Instagram. I know Tracy's a big part of that as well. Share your makes when you get this at home. But we've got plenty more demonstrations. So you can see Tracy's done some great videos for us. We will be finishing part 2 of that demonstration that we left you sort of hanging. So we're going to be finishing that off at 8 o'clock, and we've also got other demonstrations to be sharing with you from Tracy. So if you can, at 8 o'clock, we would love it if you can join us and keep us company. Thank you so much for sticking around this hour. We always love bringing you a brand new one day special and love it when they're popular as well. Tracy, always busy, deserves to be busy. So this was the launch of our fantastic AALL Create one day special. It has been incredibly busy. If you want to get hold of yours, details on your screen.